Hello everybody. Today we're going to do a get ready with me from skincare to makeup to hair, all the way to the end. We're gonna do this look that we were rocking right now. And while we do that, I'm going to answer your assumptions about me. I asked on both Instagram accounts, Enneagram Coffee and Sarah Jane Case, what your assumptions were about me, and I'm gonna go through them all here today as we get ready. Let's do it. Okay, we're gonna see how good I am at multitasking right now. So I have your assumptions that you wrote about me, and I'm gonna read them and kind of discuss them while I get ready. We're gonna start with skincare this morning. You guys are already pretty familiar with my skincare routine, but what we're gonna do. So the first assumption says that you never sit around all day and just watch TV. I would say no. I do if I'm like the first day of my period, or if I'm sick. Yeah, but otherwise I get bored. I like to do things. I have a hard time sitting still to watch even like one movie, even though I enjoy watching movies. That everything about your life is very organized, that you're fun, and that you might be shy and quiet in real life. I think I am a little shy and quiet. I don't know, I shy not so much, but like pretty open. I like my space, and I'm kind of soft-spoken until I know you well. And then everything being organized now. I mean, we have like good systems in place that help, but everything's not organized. That you are careful, conscientious, and woke. I'm very aware of how my behavior impacts other people in the world, and that matters to me. And I'm always want to be on the good side of history, right? Like I never want to look back and be like, I did more harm than good. I want to always know that people felt advocated for and that we fought for people's safety, emotional, physical, financial safety. So in that way, I would say yes. The term woke, I think, implies that I've made it somewhere and that there is a destination in that kind of work. And I just don't think there is. I think no one's actually woke. I think we're all in the process of becoming better. I don't ever want to feel like I'm woke, like I've made it. Someone said you're always calm, cool, and collected, and I think that's particularly funny this morning because I was feeling very anxious this morning, and I was like trying to get ready to film the video, and then people were mowing our lawn, and I have work to do today, and I was just feeling like so no, not always calm, cool, and collected. I run pretty high energy wise. I have like a lot of excess energy, and that energy can sometimes look like anxiety or frustration. Someone said you have your life together, but you worked really hard to get there and still work at it. I have my life more together than I ever have, and I do work really hard at it. But again, I think that implies that I'm somehow done with that process, and there's still so much for me to figure out and things that I just don't have together. So I'm in process, I think is the best way to respond to that. Okay, so I'm like skincared up, like sunscreen on. I'm gonna let my sunscreen dry before I put makeup on, and while it dries, we'll do my hair. I sleep in braids now because it helps my hair to kind of have some sort of a purpose or something, like a direction that it's going in, and then I can kind of curl from there. So while I undo these braids, I'll answer another assumption. What we got? Oh, you guys were so nice to me. I expected you guys to be meaner than this. Someone said, you're the coolest person I follow. That's really nice. You have endless energy to do all the work you seem to accomplish on the daily. Honestly, I think that that's true. I feel like I have like a Energizer bunny like in my body, and I am just constantly producing more and more energy. And like I get tired, but I just kind of like when I'm tired, I rest and then I hop right back to it. I have a significant amount of energy, I would say. Someone said you were married, and I am. We're coming up on our, gosh, our anniversary is in September 15th, and then, well, I think that'll be our 3rd year of being married. Ooh, someone said that you never have an unplanned day, and honestly, kind of. That's kind of true. Like I do better when I have structure in my life, and so yeah, kind of. I prefer to have plans and then break them than to not have any plans at all. So like I kind of know every day of the week what I'm gonna do. Like every work day has like a task, every weekend day we have like intentional rest built in and that kind of thing. So yeah, every day is pretty much planned. You often question which Enneagram you are. I used to every day. Like, it took me forever to commit to my type. And it's weird is that I knew my type the moment I read it, but it was just kind of like other people thinking that I was different type that confused me. So I used to, I don't anymore. And I can see myself in like other numbers, you know, but I think that I've gotten to a point where that's okay with me. Like, I don't feel like that has to impact my understanding of myself because I can see everyone that I know in all the numbers in some way. My husband and I actually played a game one time that I thought was really fun, where we went through each Enneagram type and said which part of us was that type. And I found that really freeing and relieving to just be like, oh yeah, we're complex and we can find a way that we're any type on the Enneagram if we want to, and that's okay. It really is all about like motivation and drive, and when we get caught up on the behavior, that's where it gets confusing. I think for a long time I thought like, oh, if I see myself in more than one Enneagram type, I'm a 9. Even though like I'm not concerned at all about my peace of mind in that way, or I like routine and structure, then I have to be a 1. Well, it's like, that's not really how it works. So yes, in some ways, and in other ways. Okay, let's get another one. I need to like breathe, you guys. I was feeling so anxious this morning that I forgot to breathe. You care a lot about how people view you. No. No, not at all. I honestly could care less. I think it's like a foreign idea to me to be concerned about how other people view you. Like, it feels like a waste of energy and time, to be honest. I'm comfortable being perceived as unique. You know, I think so, yeah. Like, I think that kind of goes hand in hand with the last one. Like, I'm not concerned about how you perceive me or anyone perceives me as much. So I think that I tend to do weird stuff because I just like to try things, and you know, you have one life, you might as well just like do some weird stuff and like have fun with it. So, and sometimes that can be perceived as unique or strange. And I guess in that way, like, I don't even think about how people perceive it or if it's perceived as strange, to be honest. I just live. What's next? Comfortable with attention, likes to be a mentoring or expert role. I like to talk about the things that interest me and the things that fascinate me, and I think that often lands into a mentoring or an expert role. I think the struggles that I have with the idea of mentoring is that I'm more passionate about people being their own leaders, and so being someone else's mentor just feels like not what I want to do. But I do like talking about things that I'm passionate about and helping other people, like teaching other people about it, sure. And then what was it? Comfortable with attention. Yeah, I guess so. Like, I think in some way, I don't mind being on camera. I don't mind being on stage. I think that if all eyes are on me and my vulnerabilities or my like need, you know, like if I'm feeling sad and everyone's paying attention to me, or if I can't do what I want to do because everyone's paying attention to me, no, I won't. I don't like that as much. My childhood, it was most obvious. Like, I was the youngest, I was the only girl. Everybody wanted to like talk to me and cuddle me and hang out with me, and like I just wanted to be left alone. And I think that that's kind of often like the deal. Like, I really don't mind attention from a distance, but kind of like too intimate is a little much for me. But I goof off or like tell jokes and stuff like that, I guess, and don't mind like that kind of attention. But I don't want to be like at the, I don't know, like the focus of like people's emotional attention, I guess. I think I've often thought of like my role as like being someone who's fun to be around and easy to be around. And if I'm like always seeking attention, that's not as like fun to be around. And so I don't think I like seek attention ever, but if the things that I want to do or want to express require attention, I don't mind that. I'm gonna put a little dry shampoo in my hair. All right, and I'm gonna clip her back so that I can do makeup. What's next? People are just saying nice things. So someone said that you're kind, thoughtful, maybe a little silly at times. You're a sweet, fun, lovable person. Kindness is like a high value for me. Number one value is to be kind. I'm definitely very, very silly. I would say goofy. Like, I'm very goofy. Someone said you are confident in your own skin. I would say yes, for sure. Someone said that You seem kind of like Jess from New Girl. Does this count as an assumption? I think this is a fun one because I think that it kind of plays into like a phenomenon in my life that I'll talk to you guys about. Also, this is the Ilia Super Serum Skin Tint SPF 40. The shade is Rendezvous, I think. I often get described as cute or sweet, and actually like don't enjoy those descriptors very much. And the reason is, one of my pet peeves is not being taken seriously, or like people kind of underestimating me, and those feel like underestimations, you know? And my husband and I talk a lot about how like I feel like I have like an outer version of myself that people experience that like doesn't resonate with like my inner dialogue and like my inner experience with myself. I like think about it like with Enneagram being a counter type, like the inner motivation is different than the outer expression. And then in astrology, you have like your sun sign, moon sign, and then your rising sign, and your rising sign is how other people perceive you, and your moon sign is how you perceive yourself, or how your inner narrative is. And in both of those cases, like my outer, like how I'm perceived, is like very emotional, very sweet, very like soft in a way. And then my inner experience is like a lot more direct, a lot more like, when you know me, I can be like pretty blunt, very work oriented, like less focused on like how other people feel, more about like what I want to do. And so like actually a lot of my work in terms of like relationships is the opposite of like what maybe you would think. So when I see Jess from New Girl, I'm like, oh yeah, I think that's that like perception thing of like, she's like really sweet and lovable and likes crafts, and like I'm just like not like that at all. But I think sometimes I can be perceived that way. I think in New Girl, I relate the most to like a mixture of Schmidt and what's the friend's name? Cece. Like a mixture of those two. Like very, I feel like Cece's like tough and like confident and like bold, and then Schmidt's like a little bit uptight. Like I relate more to those. But I think I'm goofy like Jess is, like, but it's more on purpose. Someone said that you were a millionaire. No. Well, not yet. I would like to be one day, but not yet. No, I wish. That would make things easier, wouldn't it? Strong, measured, wise, thoughtful. Someone else said wholeness, peaceful, joyous. That's so sweet. I definitely think I have like an easy access to joy. Joy is like my first response basically to life. If I'm alone, like I'll likely feel joyous. I don't really feel peaceful, to be honest. I definitely am strong, measured, I think wise, and I think thoughtful. Yeah, I'll go with those. I'll take them. Are you religious? Okay, so I used to be very religious growing up, and I ended up leaving Christianity when I was maybe like 23-ish, around there. Maybe more like 24, 25 was like when I like really officially was like able to admit it. I think I like played the fence for a while. So now, no, I'm not. I feel connected to like the greater good, and that kind of takes shape in different ways at different seasons of my life. Right now, I feel relatively connected to like the idea of like a God, but I don't feel attached to who that God is or how they show up or any of that. And the big kind of release for me in that way was just kind of recognizing that like if the God that I believed in is my whole life is real, if that's true, then that God is smarter than me, more loving than me, more accepting than me, and therefore has got to know, if they're like all knowing, omnipresent, all of that, they've got to know my intentions and my heart. And that like the idea of like an arbitrary rule being made up of like what it means to follow that God feels like that's not the God that I believed in, you know, and God's smarter than that. So kind of trusting that like God's got it. They're fine, and I can explore safely. And yeah, that's kind of where I landed. If asked, I would say not religious. I think people assume I'm religious a lot because of the Enneagram. Because so many churches use the Enneagram, but like no, I am not. Okay, let's see what's next. Someone said perfectionist, but a 7. No. I wish I was perfectionist. I'm very okay with being sloppy. Like, don't mind making mistakes. Don't feel weird about it. I think it's weird that we expect people to not make mistakes. It's kind of more the deal. You are brave and not afraid of conflict. I would say that I'm not afraid of conflict, and my camera overheated, but I would say yes, I'm brave. I stand up for myself and others relatively easily. I think sometimes I feel a little bit indestructible. Don't really think about the consequences of things sometimes. So like one time I saw this guy like pushing this girl in the airport, and I just like physically stood between them and like didn't really consider that he could just hit me too. I don't really think of myself as someone who can like get hurt. And so I take a lot of risks, and yeah, put myself out there. Now conflict stresses me out. It makes me have to slow down a lot, which annoys me. So I avoid it typically, but I don't mind telling someone like what I need or how I feel or how to support me or what I want. Like I'm pretty direct about that kind of stuff. You have a ton of friends and spend a lot of time socializing. I used to. When I was in my like 20s and early 30s, I was like out all the time. And now I have like 3 friends and I have a lot of acquaintances that I love and I see when I can, but most of my friends live in different cities and states and countries even, and like I don't see them that often. So here I have like 3 friends that live in my town that I really try to see. Obviously like right now I don't. So yeah, I think it's a no. At this point in my life, it definitely was like a high priority and almost a compulsion for many, many years. Someone said that you're into holistic healing. I think a little bit. Like I'm cautious around food stories because of like my history with restriction and like restrictive eating habits and like ooh, that's gone. That primer thing just like went straight in the trash can. It will never go near my eye again, so it's gone forever. Yeah, so with that, I'm cautious around using food as medicine, or like the trick that like every health issue is related to like a behavioral problem. I think that can be pretty toxic thinking, especially for people like me. I can be overly restrictive in general. So yeah, I would say in that way, no, but I definitely, if I have a headache or if I don't feel well, I'm gonna try the less invasive method first. Like I'm gonna try to like drink plenty of water and make sure that I got enough sleep, and like before I like focus on like just treating the symptom or taking the medicine, I'm gonna try and like really get down to like what's causing this and how can I as naturally as possible tend to it. What else we got, you guys? We're getting to the end, so I'm gonna try and speed up. I assume that you're always productive in some way, never wasting a moment. Kind of. A lot of my work is like letting a moment go by without making it mean something. This is the last one I'm gonna answer. It says, just from IG impression, I'd assume you haven't ever had to worry about money. And like, that's funny. That's like furthest thing from the truth I could imagine. Like most of my life, I grew up really, really poor. I can remember, like we moved a lot, but one of the trailers that we lived in, like the bathtub was like falling through the floor. Like we didn't even have like a whole floor. I didn't have a bedroom until I was like in high school. I always slept in the living room. I think we moved into a house where I could have a bedroom, but at that point I was like so used to not having a bedroom. Like I just had like a cot in the living room most of the time, and I liked it like that. You know, it was like what I knew and I was comfortable with that. And so when I could have a bedroom, I didn't really take that opportunity because it wasn't familiar, you know? So no, and I, even until I don't worry too much about money now. I mean, I still think I do. Like, I have to work really, really hard every single month to make my money. Like, I hustle. And, like, I'm trying to get out of that pattern of behavior, but, like, that's kind of where we're at. The standard of, like, financially comfortable is dramatically different than it was for me even 3 years ago. So, I will say we're financially comfortable at this point. I work really hard for that, and it's real new. Like, I still celebrate every time I can just fill my gas tank up and I don't have to like think about if the money's in there or not. That is like a very new feeling. It feels good, and I remember every time I'm like still at the point where I'm like, thank you, thank you, thank you. I can Like I don't have to like count every dime I spend at the grocery store or the gas tank. I can like get the things that I need, and that's like still fresh, you know what I mean? Fresh enough to still be grateful. I will try and find one more that's like a little lighter. That you are intuitive. I am 100% intuitive. Like I trust my gut on everything, on every single thing. Like I know if I'm gonna like be friends with someone within like the first 15 minutes. I make business decisions from the gut, like hyper intuitive. I have like a really good sense of like what other people are feeling or experiencing and can kind of tap into that relatively quickly and ask them the right questions. Hyper intuitive. I have a ton more of these assumptions, so if you guys like the video, let me know in the comments because I can do more of these for you anytime. This is fun. Yeah, in general, if you want to like and subscribe, that helps me out a big time, and make sure that you get to see new videos every single week, twice a week. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.